¡Yeah! ¿Qué es la que hay? Estamos en vivo. Chris, I just say we are live. Estamos en vivo en la mañana de hoy, domingo. Súper pompeado con la entrevista que voy a estar haciendo a continuación. En el día de hoy tengo a un entrenador atlético, un profesional en la disciplina de lo que es entrenador personal, entrenador funcional, entrenador de campeones, ¿ok? No te equivoques. En el día de hoy, desde Boulder, Colorado, tengo a Chris Lee. Y esta conversación va a estar a otro nivel, va a estar brutal. Así que la entrevista va a ser en inglés. Si tienes alguna pregunta en español, la puedes hacer y yo te la traduzco. Al igual que puedes hacer preguntas en inglés. Así que estamos a su orden. Y ahora, nada más y nada menos, today we have an athletic trainer, personal trainer, strength coach. He's the trainer of most of the runners and triathlete champions. Oh yeah! Today we have live from Boulder, Colorado, Chris Lee.
What's up?
What's up, Chris? How are you, mate?
Pretty good, man. How's it going?
Living the life, having fun, like always. How about you? You have been very busy.
Yeah, super busy. I mean, a lot has changed from when you used to be my triathlon coach. And then now here I am working with some of the fastest triathletes in America, in the world. So
In the world.
it's been quite a change.
So let me tell you a story, Chris, about, I think it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I was on YouTube, right?
Uh-huh.
By the way, you can subscribe. Everyone who's watching can subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. That would be amazing. This interview will be, or this chit chat will be in YouTube. Anyhow, so I was on YouTube and I was watching a Teen Man, which is the team that you train as an athletic trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this guy, like top model, on his pink pants, coaching these guys. And then I said, like, wait a minute, I know this guy. And then I did a rewind, and I was with Ian, my son, and I said, like, you remember Chris Lee? And he said, like, yeah, I know who it is. I remember. Look at this guy. He thinks like he's a top model. He's a new Calvin Klein of fitness. So you are the athletic trainer of Teen Man. How does that feel, man? That is a huge accomplishment. So congrats before asking you that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's really fun. It's cool to be part of such a big running group. And to be honest, they're just a group of young kids that are really good people. And, I've been there, done that, trying to make it to the next level in sports. So it's fun to just be able to give back a lot of the wisdom or the lack of wisdom for myself and tell them, hey, I've done this, don't do this, focus on this, and just to see them, really growing, they're getting really big in a small amount of time.
I'm a huge fan of giving back. I'm a huge fan. I think there is nothing, like, for me, this is the way that I think. There is nothing better than giving to others. And if you can give back through exercise, through money, through whatever, through love, which is something that we need, that's pretty amazing. So, Chris, You were a breaststroker, and you always complain, "Oh, my feet! Oh, I can't run because I'm a breaststroker. I can't swim freestyle because I'm a breaststroker." Okay,
Whoa! I can swim freestyle.
I know. I'm picking on you. But coming from a swimming background, you swam from for college, right?
Yep.
Which you swim for?
Montclair State University, small school in Jersey.
And you were a breaststroker, right? Short
Yep.
distance breaststroker.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And coming from that background, how do you transfer that into running? Like, I think how do you transfer that into running?
Well, it's interesting because I started swimming, and in swimming is where I got interested in biomechanics, physiology, and all that. And breaststroke is one of the more complicated strokes in swimming. So I had to figure out biomechanically how to swim breaststroke because it's weird. I mean, only weird people swim breaststroke. So that's me. Um, so taking that knowledge and growing year after year after year and just studying a lot allowed me to understand so much about the body that when we went to running, running is actually pretty simple biomechanically compared to breaststroke. So I was able to take the knowledge I had and use all the studying I've done to now move into running, which through triathlon and through training with you, I learned about running a lot over time, and it was my greatest weakness. So because it was my greatest weakness, it's what I studied the most about. I would spend hours watching videos, hours reading textbooks because I'm, boring and I read textbooks. So that helped me really understand running. I could never run at an elite level myself, but I got the understanding of what it takes biomechanically to run well. So that's kind of how it went from swimming breaststroke to running, which are like opposites,
Awesome. So, by the way, if people, because this is a question that someone asked me, why I'm always like facing down, it's like I'm making notes. So if you see me like facing down with my head down, it's because I'm writing notes. Someone asked me, why are you putting your head down? Anyhow, so you just said something that it's very interesting because so many people think, oh, he wasn't an elite runner, he can't coach me. And they don't understand, maybe, like, you don't have to be a professional runner, a professional triathlete, a professional swimmer to be a good coach, right?
Right.
So you spend a lot of time in biomechanics, and that's where you graduated from that, or you did a master's. What are your studies on?
Yeah, so I graduated. Originally, I was going to be a teacher, which as a coach, starting off with a teaching degree was really helpful because it helped you learn how to allow people to learn properly. And then my last year, I just switched. It was the same track as exercise science. So I switched my last year into an exercise science major. And then I got my strength and conditioning certification right away. And then I got my car and moved to Boulder. And basically my master's degree, if you want to call it that, which I don't have a real master's degree, is you train and you learn from all these world champions you live around, and you just ask them questions. You got to be that annoying kid asking people all these questions, but they're happy to answer them because they like to give back as well. So it's really interesting to learn and pick their brain, and then just study on my own.
That was kind of my next question. Do you think Boulder changed you in a way that you said, okay, this is what I want to make as a living?
Totally, 100%. I think coming to Boulder, being in that atmosphere, and honestly, I remember one of my first swim practices too.
All out.
It was at Scott Carpenter, and I remember Craig Alexander was swimming there, and I was in shock. I'm like, oh my God, this is Craig Alexander, So I was picking his brain, and I was like, what does it take to, like get to the next level? How do I stop bonking and, getting, tired during these workouts? How do I make it through? And he just looked at me straight in the eye. I remember, he may not remember this, but he goes, "You just got to work harder." And I was like, okay, but that kind of set the stage for my whole life in Boulder. Like that quote of just work harder, do a better job. So
You
it's kind of what
you surrounded by people like since I met you, right? Which I think was like your first year here, right? Which was on 2014, 2013,
14, 13, yeah.
something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like 7 years ago. And Scott, I remember those beautiful days. Like Scott Carpenter was
Yeah,
huge, very popular. All the pros were there.
totally.
Swimmers, triathletes, everyone was there. And then there was you. No, I'm kidding.
The only sprinter.
The only breaststroker, man. Like I said before, this is to have fun as well.
Yeah.
So you surrounded by these amazing athletes, and that's what made you like, okay, I'm gonna switch into this. I can make this happen. I can develop myself into a strength and conditioning coach. So that's right.
Yeah, I always, even moving here, I knew I wanted to go into that field, but I didn't know I wanted to do it in endurance sports. I thought I wanted to do it with like a football team, a basketball team. I'm from Jersey, so everyone plays football and basketball. Endurance sports is for like people that aren't cool. In Jersey at least.
Yeah. Do you miss Jersey?
I miss the food, man. Pizza, Italian food. Yeah. But the rest of Jersey, meh. I think Boulder's a little cooler,
Yeah. So let me tell you a story, guys, for the people that are watching and listening. Here we have, in front of you, you have Chrisley, which is the 2015 or 2016? 2016 ITU Punta Aguilarte champion in Puerto Rico.
That was fun, man. I think that was 2015.
2015, 5 years ago, Chris Lee came to Puerto Rico with me, and he won. He did a PR in a 10K off the bike. So I still remember that. You were fast.
And the swim. I actually PR'd that swim. I had never swum that far before, that fast.
So here we have a true champion. And also, I remember, I'm not going to tell the whole story, right? But this badass did an Olympic triathlon swimming backstroke for the whole 1500. He's a total badass. 1500.
It was cold, man. It was cold.
No, I'm not gonna tell the story. I'm not telling the story. I just want to say that you're a badass. Instead of quitting, you swam 1500 backstroke, and you finished the race.
And I hate backstroke, man. I hate backstroke.
So that's, when people say like, okay, you can imagine every excuse during that day. I know it was a hard day for us, for me on the bike. It was hell on the bike. It was like brutal race.
Yeah, you were just shivering the whole time.
Yeah. So let me tell you a quick story about this. So Chris and we went to this race. I was doing the half distance and Chris was doing the Olympic distance. And water was like, it was so cold that day. It was like so cold. Yeah. Anyhow, Chris Lee managed to swim, but he didn't have too much time of warm up. So he just jumped in, and instead of swimming freestyle, he swam the 1500 backstroke. But he didn't quit. You didn't quit. And that's the most important part of it, and that's what you can teach about talking about what we were talking before. You don't need to be a professional, like, for example, professional swimmer. Because we're talking about swimmer, to understand like the philosophy of maybe working harder or not quitting. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, let's just make it happen.
That documentary that just came out with Michael Jordan in it. I mean, he got cut from his high school team. And he's like, I'm going to come back. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to be better than everyone. And now he's Michael Jordan. I'm not saying I'm Michael Jordan, but that's what he did, right? He just didn't quit.
I totally disagree with you. because you have been, and we can talk about that. We're going to talk about this a little bit more later on. But you, for me, you are right now the Michael Jordan of fitness. And you have to think about that because of the things that you have accomplished until now. You have your own gym, you work with all these great athletes. You are the Michael Jordan of fitness, and you have to think about that.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, we
I just
appreciate
gotta
it.
learn how to dunk now.
You're dunking with your athletes. Your athletes are making, you have to switch instead of basketball. Okay, what I'm doing, these guys are winning. You're dunking.
No, they're
You're,
winning. Yeah. They're winning.
yeah.
Actually, true story. In college, when I was a little bit more explosive, I could dunk all the time.
And what happened? I'm
Triathlon,
old.
man.
I'm old.
I am old, man. Getting old. I feel it in my bones.
So, Chris, how does it feel to work with all these guys in all sports levels? I know you are working with Rudy Bumberg. You're working, I think, with your great friend, and I don't know if it's your roommate or not, Ryan Petrie, or and you have worked with all these great athletes. How does it feel to give back and to help them reach their goals?
It feels great. I mean, I think you and I are similar. You know, all our clients are really our friends, right? I mean, yes, there's a client relationship, but you care about these people and you want to see them do well. So when I come into work, I really just think about, oh, I'm just coming in to help my friends get better at what they do. You know, like I'm done racing, but I can use all that experience and help them get faster. And nothing makes me happier than seeing them go and PR at a race. You know, I mean, I'd rather see that than get a check for $5,000. You know, that is more valuable to me than whatever, you know, money, because you can't buy that that sense of
Satisfaction.
satisfaction. Exactly. Yeah.
Chris, I have a question for you. This question is from Jose. So he's asking, how do you are a strength athletic trainer, right? How does it feel, or how can you manage the mental strength for these guys?
For their training.
Yeah,
Uh, um,
that's a pretty good question, though.
yeah, Jose, that's a great question. I think it's for me, it's getting to know each person individually. I take all my clients out to a lunch individually just to chat. And everyone is mentally strong in different ways. And it's about helping them learn what works best for them. You know, going up to someone and going, let's go, might not work for everyone. For some people, it'll work. But it's just managing their mental strength is just understanding them as a person and understanding what motivates them and what gets them excited.
Nice. So Steve asked this question. What is your philosophy about training?
My philosophy with training in the gym is really simple. It's to listen. I'm not the person who comes in and I tell you what you need to do. I ask you what you feel like you need. We do an evaluation and then we talk and then I listen. And then I'll say, okay, based on what you told me, here's what I'm seeing. It's always a puzzle. I don't assume I know anything. When someone walks in the door, I assume I know nothing. And that way we can really figure out what is the most effective way to approach someone's training versus, you know, a lot of the times you walk in and someone will say, you need to do this, and this, but they haven't really asked you enough questions. So my philosophy is just to listen.
That's a great philosophy, though. So you work, I have seen your videos. And by the way, let's take this opportunity. So if someone wants to follow Chris Lee or want to hire Chris Lee as an athletic trainer, how they can contact you, Chris?
You can go to my Instagram. It's clee_performance. Some people think it's Clee, but you can call me Clee. I don't care. Or you can just email me at chris at kinesisintegrated.com. That's the best way. You can either DM me or shoot me an email, and I'll try to get back to you.
Awesome. So talk to me about you're the founder. I'm a Puerto Rican. So I have this accent and I don't care. I'm bilingual. Okay. Same as you. You're bilingual. So I'm going to try to pronounce this well. Talk to me about your program, which is Kinesis Integrated, right?
Yeah.
Or however you pronounce it. Maybe you
That
can
was good. You got it. You nailed it. Boom. Kinesis Integrated started originally. I got an offer from a company in Portland, Oregon, and I had two business partners, and we were going to open a facility in Portland, and they were going to fund the whole thing. But they wanted a lot of equity, and it was just too much. They wanted from us. So I said, no, I'm going to stay in Boulder and do my own thing. But it's slowly becoming integrated, which is basically I'm the strength coach, but I want the physical therapist to also talk to the chiropractor, to also talk to the nutritionist, to also talk to the medical director who is in charge of blood work and all that. A truly integrated system where you come in and you get all of your needs met with a staff that talks and figures things out together. Because most of the time, you live in Boulder, Randy, you go to a chiropractor, and then you drive across town to see your trainer, and then you drive across town to see someone else, but no one's on the same page. So if we can get everyone on the same page, then everyone does a better job, and you get the most out of your training, your treatment, whatever it is, you get the most out of it. So that's the whole idea behind it.
Nice. So you're saying that you like to work with collaboration.
100%. Yeah. I think that's the most important part.
For me, that's the key of success. That's the way that I think. Like, no ego. Let's just work together and trying to get the best results as possible for someone.
Yeah, totally.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree 100%. No ego. That's the hard part, is finding people that are willing to do that.
And to work together for just like trying to get the results out of this someone,
Right.
So I have another question. This question is from Maria. So Maria asks, how do you plan your training, like as a trainer, for different kind of athletes in a professional level?
Ooh, that's a good question, Maria. I sit down every Sunday and I have a kind of a 5 to 6 hour block, and I review everyone's training from that week. Everyone has an individual program. I don't make templates, and I don't make training systems, because no human body is the same. So I look at your body, we do an assessment, I choose based on how you move and your injuries, I choose what we need to work on. But then every week I review, okay, what happened this week in this session? What was good? What was bad? What is your training load? Are you riding 300 miles this week? If you are, we can't do that many. You can't squat too much, because then you can't ride. So you have to be able to, shift around what you need. So it's a weekly adjustment. Every Sunday, I sit down and just make sure everyone is accounted for, and I'm making sure I'm on top of it before I go into the sessions.
So John is asking this question. What has been your hardest client to develop?
Ooh, my hardest client to develop.
And you don't have to say names. You can. Okay. You don't have to say names.
Probably, it was probably an ITU athlete. Just because it was someone moving from a professional running background to a really high level ITU, now one of the best in America, in the world. And helping this person navigate how to balance everything, right? And also trusting the process. That's always really difficult, especially with, someone transitioning from one sport to 3 sports, and knowing where to put your energy to become better takes a little bit of learning curve, some time, right? Because, I'm a great runner, but now I have to get good on the bike. I have to get good in swimming. I have to do my work in the gym and strength. Where does all this energy come from? So teaching someone how to balance all these things out and when to take time off, just because we know athletes don't like to take time off. So being like, no, you got to chill. You got to relax now was probably the hardest part.
I think that's the hardest part.
For me too.
Trying to get athletes to rest, to recover. It's so hard for them to understand that part. When you're talking about trusting the process, do you mean like coach athlete, athlete coach, or both? And why?
That's a good question. Both, for sure. I think the athlete needs to trust the coach, and the coach has to trust that the athlete wants the best for himself. As a coach, you can't question someone else's determination. You have to assume this is what they want. But definitely trusting the process of saying, hey, I want you to take a rest day because of these reasons. There has to be a level of trust for this person to even consider taking a rest day, especially when it's unplanned. If you're looking at someone's training and seeing, oh man, Randy is just, his heart rate's too high. He's been training too hard. It's Wednesday, but I want you to take the day off, right? As an athlete, if there's no trust, they're going to be like, no way, I'm not taking an off day. You're crazy. So definitely that trust goes both ways.
How do you develop that trust?
I think you have to be really on top of your science, and you have to explain things well. And this is where teaching was really helpful. Okay, here's a concept. Say 1 + 1 = 2. And here's why, right? Here's why 1 + 1 = 2 every single time, right? Here's why you should take a rest day. I'm seeing your heart rate that's been too high for 3 days. Your speed has gone down at the same heart rate. It looks like you're sleeping not well and you're waking up tired. And when I see you in person, you're not moving well and you're really tight all the time. All these are signs that you're a little bit too fatigued. And this is why you need to relax, because if you don't, you will have to take a month off instead of 1 day off, right? So making sure they understand, and that communication. So communication is key too. Yeah.
I think that's the word, communication.
Yeah.
Always being available for them. And then, and I have seen this like in so many coaches, like, nope, if you want to talk to me, you have to pay me $70 per hour.
Yeah.
Or if you want to email me, I can respond that email, but I'm going to charge you this amount of money.
Totally. Yeah.
I totally disagree with that. I don't know if
I disagree too. I don't do that.
If you are like committed to someone, and that someone, you want their trust, you can't be charging them like per hour every time that you talk.
No.
I know your time is valuable, but talking like, okay, if you want to chat 15 minutes with me, it's going to, and I have seen it, I'm going to charge you $100. And it's like, I have seen it. I know.
Yeah. Especially in this town, there's a lot.
Yeah. So, and I think that's bullshit. And that's me talking.
I agree, man. I think you're the same. You care about the people you're working with. You want them to do well, and they're kind of like friends anyway. You have your boundaries. Like, hey, man, like Saturday's my day off. If you really need something, of course I'll respond. But try to give me some time to relax too.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's open communication.
Yeah, definitely. I know you have to leave pretty soon. I want to talk to you about how you have managed with your athletes in this tough situation that we're living, like in a worldwide situation with the COVID. It has been very hard for everyone, especially, sorry, someone is texting me questions, especially, gyms are closed. Some people are like getting crazy because they don't have a pool to swim. How have you managed that with your athletes? How have you been, or how have you been managed that with your athletes?
I mean, luckily we have Zoom, we have online communication. So I had a select group of athletes that were willing to, work on Zoom. I loaned out some equipment, but really for a lot of athletes, it was just shifting your mindset, right? Don't worry about the things you can't control right now. That's with anything in life, right? You can't control that. I can't control the weather. I'm not going to be upset if it rains. It's going to rain. So just shifting what you can control. Okay, guess what? We got some time off. There's no races. There's no training, basically. Why don't we focus on your body, on all the little things that we can control? If your ankles are tight, if your quads are weak, let's make that your goal. Just forget about the other goals. Find a new goal. Right. Find what you can control.
You know how I call that? I'm going to try to be like my kids. Drop the mic.
Yeah.
Accept the things you can change.
Totally.
It's hard, but it's pretty simple. You just accept the things that you can change. Chris, before a conclusion with like a message for people around. Every person that has been through the podcast lately, I have them talking about the tough situation that we are living in North America with the racism. Me coming from Puerto Rico, being Latin, even though that we are U.S. citizens, it's hard for every Hispanic person. And what are your thoughts about what we're living in North America with this situation, with the Black people that are still getting abused? How do you feel about that? And you have a message to say about this?
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, thanks for asking that question. I think it's really important now. It's the most important thing. I'm actually, as an Asian American, right? I'm also writing a piece with my friend Jason, who is also an Asian American. He happens to be a neurosurgeon. I think it's important speaking for my own culture, Asian Americans, that we're part of this as well. We may not be abused or oppressed. We actually have to take a stand and say we're part of this privilege as well. There's a lot of black and white right now, but if it's always black and white, then you always have sides. There's always a winner and a loser, right? But that's the wrong answer. There should be no sides. And that's where I want to step in and say, hey, Asian Americans, I grew up with a lot of privilege too. I'm part of this problem as well. So taking ownership of the negative, right, and making that a positive. Okay, accept that we are privileged, and let's start educating other people about it. I think the movement now is it's what's needed to happen. I think there's been a lot of injustice in society. I think there's a lot of corruption, but chaos is the first sign of order, right? Before you have order, you have to have chaos first. It has to become a 180, right? Otherwise, it's never going to change. It'll just stay here in this little circle. You got to go way outside the circle and force a change to happen for anything to take effect. But I think I don't agree with everything that's happening, but it's not my place to say or to judge. It's just my place to say, okay, all I can do is speak for myself and use what I have, which is a platform in the sports world, and my friend who is a platform in the medical world, to say, okay, we can help bring everyone together by writing a piece and taking ownership for the privilege that I have, but also sometimes a slight discrimination that I see here and there in society. So yeah, that's what I have to say about the current movement.
Thank you, Chris. And I know you have to leave like pretty soon. So some final words like as motivation for people that are listening. I always try to finish with this at the end of the podcast, like trying to motivate people. If you have something to say for someone that is listening to you right now or later on.
This is actually something I tell all my athletes, and I try to live every day, is just don't worry so much about everything going on around you, and adjust your expectations, because we're all different every single day. So all you can do is be the best version of yourself on that day. Some days I wake up and I'm like, I got shit today, but I'm gonna just make the most of that. And if I can make the most of the worst day I have, maybe I'm still a bad person that day, but I made the most of it, so that's still a good day. Just make the most of what you got on that day.
Boom! Another drop the mic. Chris, thank you for your time. It's great seeing you, like always. And thank you very much for your time. If you just want to hang out, because I know you have to leave because you have a client, I'm gonna do the conclusion right now. So thank you. Really appreciate your time. Big hugs, man.
Yeah, dude. Likewise. Thanks for all the help in the past, man. I'm glad I met you back then.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. See you back in Puerto Rico.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go surfing.
Yeah, definitely. Whenever you want, I'm going to be there, man. So
awesome. Oh, I can't wait.
See you, bro.
See you, dude.
Bye. Ok, en el día de hoy tuvimos a Chris Lee. Muchas gracias a las personas que nos estuvieron viendo hoy, en la mañana de hoy, en la tarde de hoy, domingo. Y, mano, ¿qué les puedo decir? Súper pompeado. Estuvo brutal. Tengo un podcast espectacular el próximo miércoles donde voy a estar con el baloncelista Héctor, el próximo martes voy a estar con el baloncelista Héctor Valenzuela. Vamos a estar hablando, él fue baloncelista profesional del Baloncesto Superior Nacional de Puerto Rico, así que fue parte de la delegación que estuvo en el 2004, allá en ese gran triunfo que tuvimos contra el Dream Team. Así que, sin más preámbulo, o sin más nada que decir, les tengo que decir que gracias nuevamente por la sintonía y que seguimos pompeados. Así que si me estás escuchando, como siempre termino, que tengas bonito día, bonita tarde y bonita noche. Un abrazo y gracias por sintonizar.